The basement, where nerdiness thrives, and grown men rant about toys.
What up, motherfucking basement dwellers?
Welcome back, yet again.
Yeah, it's me and Frank Del Vecchio, finally back.
What up?
We talked about doing this on our Bill and Ted retrospective. Talked about doing a Kevin Smith, at least the Askew-universe, instead of, we're not going to talk about the High North movies or the
Zack and Miri make a porno.
yeah, Jersey Girl and Cop Out. Like, we're leaving all that out. Like, we're talking about the Askew-universe. But what we're going to do is, since we're already in mid-September and we really want to do some Halloween shit this year. We tried last year, but this is the time of the year where, like, shit gets real crazy for me. Because my wife and I are big Halloween nuts, so every weekend we're hitting up the haunts, and then boom, November comes and it's getting ready for all the holidays. Like, these next 4 months are incredibly busy for us over here, but we're gonna try and get some done, seriously, because I like doing Halloween content, and I hate that last year we kind of just missed out.
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer because I was getting super into it. I love the Halloween season so much that, like, this was like a dream. So I still want to, like, keep the dream alive and try it again this year.
Keep the dream alive. So, like always, what have you been up to since the Bill and Ted podcast we did?
Had a pretty eventful summer. I mean, I wish I did record because in June, this is a crazy story. In June, I was playing basketball and fractured my foot.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was like a tiny fracture. It was nothing too bad, but like all throughout July, I was in a cast. I just don't know why I didn't think like not to record something. I don't know. I was just kind of bummed out that I'm missing out on July and stuff like that. But then in August, once it started to heal, I just took summer to the face. Me and my girlfriend did a lot of traveling this summer. It was really nice. We checked out Gettysburg, which was cool. It's also kind of haunting in a way because you're pretty much just standing on these old battlegrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Ocean City, Maryland, we walked the boardwalk. That was fucking amazing. I felt like I was in that movie, The Beach Bum, with Matthew McConaughey.
I fucking loved that movie.
Dude, it was so fun. And then, yeah, Fear Inoculum dropped, and that capped off the summer perfectly.
Dude, it did, didn't it? Like, seriously.
I think they delivered, honestly.
I love it. I gave it a 9. When you guys will see the review, me and my buddy David, we were pretty opposite opinions on that video, but I straight up gave it a 9. Like, it's a perfect fucking album, man.
It took some time to grow on me just because you have to get over the shock that, like, wow, it's actually out. Like, this isn't a dream. This isn't, like, a troll, like, fake album or something like that. It's like, wow, the new Tool album, like, is finally out. So I just couldn't believe I was hearing it my first listen through. And at first I thought it was a little slow, but then on multiple listenings I just really started to immerse myself in the sound of it and the themes, some of Maynard's lyrics, because the first time I listened to it, I mainly just, like, focused on the instruments, I mean, I was so happy to hear these guys jamming out again.
That's a good thing about this album is it's real easy. Say what? Hello?
What's up?
I cut you off. What were you saying?
I was just talking about my experience listening to the album the first time versus the second time.
Yeah.
Talked about... Are we still going?
Yeah, we're still going.
Oh, totally. Okay, so like I said, the first time I was listening to it mainly for like the instruments. I really wanted to focus on, Danny Carey's drumming, Chancellor's bass, and they're all still like supreme musicians. Like, even people who do not like this album still praise Danny Carey's drum skills. Like, he really pulled through on this album. And then the second time listening, I focused on some of Maynard's lyricism, and I don't think it's some of his best lyrics, but I do think it fits the time we're living in today. It was the perfect Tool album for 2019.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
It delves into like what's going on in the world today, and in his own unique Maynard style of wording things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
some of it kind of reminded me of the A Perfect Circle album that came out last year. And I think, some songs needed a little more to them, but you know what? I'm just happy to hear new Tool overall, and it could have been way worse, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
It's been solid 8-9.
Definitely.
And the presentation of the album, holy shit. The artwork.
Holy shit.
It's phenomenal. You have the deluxe CD, which I'm super jealous of that because it came with an LED.
Yeah, man, that shit is rad as fuck. The moment it was announced, I was at work and I was on my break and I just saw the announcement. I'm like, oh shit, pre-orders are out now. Oh shit, there's a pre-order on Amazon. So I pre-ordered it right fucking there because I knew that shit was gonna sell out quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it did. Within the first week, it was sold out on Amazon, and then by the second week, everywhere else it was sold out. Like, knew that shit was gonna happen. But
yeah,
with me,
hopefully soon I can find like a vinyl release of it or something.
Yeah, like they haven't announced. They said there would be a vinyl release, but they haven't announced it being out or when it's coming. Like, what the fuck? But the vinyl release will have its own unique packaging, and if they decide to do a standard CD release, it'll be unique enough to make it worth having. So I'll probably buy it again.
Like different covers and stuff like that. That's what I'm like excited for. But come to think of it, like Tool has never been a super big vinyl band. You know what I mean? They've never been like super passionate about it.
Yeah, that's what I love about them doing this with the CD, because they've always been a CD-centric band, and because that's the medium that was heavy when they came out. So for them to still do something special for the CD guys in 2019 was made me really happy, because any other group right now, if they do special deluxe versions, it's always on the vinyl, and so I was real happy to see some wild, outlandish shit with a CD.
Yeah, thinking outside the box. Not every CD has to be.
Yeah, and then didn't you and I talk about during the Bill and Ted review that when are we going to get our holographic, video album covers?
Yeah.
And we kind of did. It's not on the front cover, but it's inside the fucking case, so, close enough.
Yeah, we're getting there.
How fucking
honestly,
rad.
I think Tool is the only one who can get away with doing the holograph shit, because that's the kind of shit I would want to see in 3D.
Yeah.
Just fucking Web of Being, or whatever that fucking 10,000 Days album cover was. Like, imagine going through that.
Yeah. But shit.
Said, overall, I think it was a pretty sweet album. At first, I was a little, like, on the iffy side about them finally going digital, but you know what? It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah. I mean, they just made their shit readily available for everybody now.
Exactly. So there'll be a whole new generation of Tool fans now.
Hell yeah.
I'm kind of glad, though, that it may sound pretentious, but I'm kind of glad, though, I was in the era that, like, I had to discover Tool on my own. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It had to be read down word of mouth.
Yeah, I was part of that. They were definitely an MTV band when I was a kid, and when I was a kid, I got a lot of my early music from MTV, and they were one that because we used to sit down and watch videos all the time, and they were ones that they always had the coolest, unique videos next to everyone else that always grabbed me and my brother's attention.
It was like Anima and Cranberry Salvation. There you go.
Yeah,
they're the two
man.
best videos of the 90s.
Oh yeah, that fucking clown. But me, alright, since we last did a podcast, I don't know, man, I've just been working and buying my buddy's CD collection still. And then my brother and I've got 3 albums I'm working on all at the same time. And yeah, I'm doing a new solo album, and then my brother and I are getting back together for another Sticky Middle Finger album.
Nice.
And this one we're about half, I would say 30% done recording it. We've recorded a bunch of songs so far, but the concept is fairly outlandish, so there's a lot of extra shit we got to record too, where the concept is sort of, the album is called America's Next Top Voice with Talent, and the concept behind the album is it is lampooning American celebrity culture and competition shows like America's Got Talent, all those shows like that. The Voice, all that shit, American Idol. So on here, we're getting fairly deep. Every song is a different artist competing, and for artists who get voted off, they've only got 1 song, but the artists that keep going have up to 2 to 3 songs before they get kicked off, and whichever one wins. And then there's going to be fake commercials, and the judges and the hosts. We've got an entire layout of the structure of the record written out.
This is next level, I like it.
Yeah, it's going to be really funny to us, real funny to us. And it's given us a cool challenge to do these sort of lampoon very commercial style music. Because there's a country guy, and we're gonna do some fairly commercial sounding country garbage. There's going to be a boy band group, and the joke is like there's no place for a boy band in 2019. And then we have some other weird shit where we're Sticky Middle Finger, the characters, us, are competing too, and we get voted off instantly because the joke behind that is like nobody wants to hear, pseudo artsy fucking music. So, fucking.
You know what vibes of?
What's that?
It's giving me slight Thingfish vibes.
Yeah, I would say we thought it was pretty original until I started buying some albums by the Turtles, and they did an album called Battle of the Bands where each song they're playing a different band and a different style, and I was like, damn, this is kind of like what we're doing, but they don't have they didn't go as deep as we are, because we're straight up gonna be lampooning just celebrity culture, American celebrity culture as a whole, just that obsession with because to spoil it now, the country guy's gonna win, but there's gonna be more artistic music on there that gets kicked off like mid fucking song. We're doing one as a parody of Dillinger Escape Plan and all that, so they're gonna get kicked off pretty quick, but that's gonna be some grindcore mixed with some jazzy shit, so it's this album is a bit of a challenge. Huh?
It's gonna be an eclectic album.
Yeah. Very much like where our first Sticky Middle Finger album was very eclectic, but it had a real gross storyline because it followed that crab just exploring that lady's body, and that's a wildly gross album. This one's a very sort of down to earth and I guess mean spirited album.
But like a good kind of mean spirited. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's satire.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's gonna be one of the characters who makes it to the finals is a sort of we call him Michael Fedora, and he's your kind of, to me he's that kind of John Mayer type, but my brother's playing him. And the voice my brother's throwing down is definitely not a John Mayer type, but the music is, where it's very acoustic love songs, but all the songs are metaphor for the murders this character has committed. He's a serial killer that, and there's a song about how he's stalking this girl, but it's done in this kind of, is he really stalking her? Like, yeah. And then, but each song he does gets more and more graphic to the point at the end of the record he gets arrested because they find him out. But during the commercial bits on the album, there's gonna be like quick little news briefs of like, oh, we found another victim from the road trip killer. This time, it seems like he's going to California, and so yeah, it's gonna be a ridiculous fucking CD, but that's what me and Zach like to do, is just complete over the top ridiculous shit. I mean, we grew up
like the listen value up the ass.
Yeah, I'll tell people, listen to it from start to finish. That's the best way to do it.
Just give yourself to the album.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. Back
Kevin Smith retrospective.
to the Kevin Smith retrospective.
So like we said, we're going to start with Clerks now, and then as the Halloween season rolls in, we're just going to shift directions for but a brief moment, and then slide right back into the Askewniverse.
Yeah.
And we're starting off with the classic, man. The movie that, geez, like every indie filmmaker knows.
The movie that started it all.
Clerks.
Now, funny story about my introduction to Kevin Smith. I was 9 years old when this movie came out on video, or at least when I remember my dad renting it. And me, my dad, and my mom, we were all in the living room, and my dad was watching it. And I remember, I was 9 years old, so I'm thinking, wow, this is weird. This is a new movie, and it's black and white. And I'm just watching with them, and then it gets to the whole point, you sucked his dick? Well, how many dicks have you sucked? And that's when my parents were like, all right, go play in the next room. And that was the last I really thought about it until around the time, it was probably 2000, because I believe
the animated series came out.
Yeah, animated series was being talked about. I had just watched Dogma, and then I saw the Jay and Silent Bob cameo in Scream 3, and my main introduction on who Jay and Silent Bob were the action figures, the first line of action figures, that I actually have them both on my wall right now, is the ones that had the ton of accessories. Jay's got a dog with a fucking heart-on and a bong and a bag of weed, and like, it's cool as shit. But I didn't know, who these characters were. I just knew them from seeing a picture of these action figures in the Toy Fair magazine. And so I see their cameo in Scream 3, then I see Dogma, and I'm like, okay, I get it now. And then, boom, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back comes out, and I was all in. I was all in from that point on, and went back, watched Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and the rest is history. How did you get into this movie, man?
So me, how I got introduced to just Jay and Silent Bob and Clerks in general is I caught the reruns of the animated series on Adult Swim when I was like, probably, around 9, or like even younger. because it used to play really late at night and on weekends. You know,
Yeah.
my mom didn't give a fuck how long I stayed up because I didn't have to go to school the next morning. So I would stay up, and like by like midnight they were playing reruns of Clerks. I didn't really like quite follow it, but I was enjoying what I was watching. And I remember like specifically enjoying Jay and Silent Bob. And then years went by, and like same as you, like I didn't really think about it because the show kind of just faded into obscurity for a while. But then as I started getting into like people like Brad Jones and stuff like that, and more like and other indie filmmakers, you know, Kevin Smith's name like kept popping up, and you know I would see comic book men on TV and stuff like that. So popularity in Kevin Smith just started either rising, or I just started becoming like more exposed to him, like just naturally as the years went on, just through word of mouth and stuff like that.
What's weird is that was at a point in time where Kevin Smith was really starting to shoot up there. And this is like after Clerks 2. This is after the supposed finale of the Askewniverse, and he had put out that.
This is after Cop Out too,
Yeah,
which is surprising.
this is like after Cop Out, but all of a sudden he's getting this a little more mainstream attention. But it's funny because this was at a point where I started seeing more and more people talking shit, where it was kind of cool to hate Kevin Smith.
Mm-hmm. And over the years, like, I think everybody has, like, their certain gripes with the Kevin Smith tropes, but I don't know, man. Like, as just a personality himself, like, you could say all you want about, like, the quality of his filmmaking maybe going down, but, like, as a personality, man, he's changed a lot, but he's always stayed genuine, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a dude that I don't give a shit what he's talking about. I can listen to him all fucking day.
Yeah. You know, you could easily call him a sellout because, you know, he has this huge, like, property on his hands now, but, like, I don't know, he never comes off that way, though.
Yeah, he's the kind of dude that, you know, he's doing what I wish I could be, you know what I'm saying? Like, fucking just running this, this cool-ass business that, but not being a dick about it.
Exactly. And something I want to bring up with this movie is I feel like because of how popular Kevin Smith is now and how, like, beloved his movies are, I almost consider this, like, the dark side of the moon of indie films, that, like, it's so popular now and put up on this pedestal because, in a way, it deserves it, you know what I mean? It's a superb fucking film. But because it's so beloved now, there's always going to be the people out there who's going to be like, yo, what's so fucking good about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People who automatically, like, shun it or, like, only take the Kevin Smithy, like, elements out of it. Like, when people generalize it as a movie about people who just talk about Star Wars, I feel like, you know, that's certainly what some of his future movies had become, is more about the pop culture and stuff like that. It was always an element of his work, but, like, I don't know. I feel like Clerks is about a little more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more. Like, that's just in one or two conversations in the movie, you know what I mean? But most people pull Star Wars out of it and think that's what a lot of it's about. Like, it's like barely two conversations.
People forget that this movie, like, wasn't meant to be just a straight comedy. You know what I mean? Like, Kevin Smith was into, like, David Lynch films and, you know, more art house stuff. So there's definitely that air to it as well.
Yeah, and like you said, by you calling this the dark side of the moon of the 90s indie era, that is an incredibly fun way to look at it. You can say that whole 90s indie era is like the prog era of the early to mid 70s. And
Absolutely.
you can put
one album that shoots it off, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
if you want to
can
this is like Sgt. Pepper of indie films.
Yeah, you can put several different directors in the band chairs. Like say Kevin Smith is like the Pink Floyd of the indie scene, and then fucking like take Tarantino and you can say that he's almost like since his shit's a little more complex, you could say his is like the King Crimson of the time, and like
Linklater is like the early Genesis.
right,
It's like your Gabriel Genesis.
right, and then Robert Rodriguez could fucking easily be like the Rush, because his were a little more accessible but still had that grit. You know what I mean? Like
East fucking vibe.
holy shit. And then, like, take for instance, when it comes to Pink Floyd, people either always talk about Dark Side of the Moon or they always talk about The Wall. When it comes to Kevin Smith, most, especially the snobs, only ever mention Clerks or Chasing Amy. You know?
Yeah.
Isn't it? So would you say that Chasing Amy could be like The Wall of that period?
You know, that really is a nice analogy, because that kind of is like one of his more straight films. You know what I mean? Like, it is a comedy to an extent, but like it's the least comedy of his work sense of this universe, at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's gonna get weird when we get to Chasing Amy. I have such mixed feelings about that fucking.
I know. I hate to say it, it's a lot of people's favorite, but it is my least favorite out of all of them.
It was my favorite for like a split moment, and then on like second watching, because I was like, like you got to be in a certain mood to watch Chasing Amy.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, it's a boring ass movie to me, to tell you the truth.
Much like The Wall, you got to be in a certain mood.
Flat out, it is a boring fucking movie for me. But I like the characters. That's the thing. I love the characters. I love Holden McNeil. I love fucking Banky Edwards. Finger Cuffs. I can never remember her name.
Alyssa.
Yeah. I mean, and then it expands the world like it does what it needs to do. It expands the Ascuniverse.
Yeah, that. But I can definitely see there's a weird thing about the pacing of it.
Yeah, it's just a real long fucking feeling movie.
Yeah, and a totally weird movie too. But there's interesting elements to it.
Yeah, but we're here to talk about Clerks. But right before we talk about Clerks, let me smoke a cigarette real quick.
No problem.
Right on. I'm gonna pause this here, and I'm gonna go smoke a cig. And we're rolling. Okay, y'all. Sorry, had to take a cigarette break. I don't smoke in the studio, so you know, sometimes nicotine calls.
And now it's time to get into the movie. And honestly, cigarette break is not too inappropriate, because it's kind of the first real scene we open up on.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like I had told you right before we started recording, is you're most likely going to have to lead this one, because I watched it last Friday, and the thing is about this movie is I remember scenes, and that's really about it. I can never remember this movie or the scenes in chronological order. Like, there are some that I'm like, yeah, I know where the beginning is and where the end is, and everything in the middle, I'm kind of like, damn, does this happen first or is this second? Like, it's a weirdly fucking put together movie.
It's a movie, like, memorable for those kind of scenes, you know what I mean?
Little
Really,
vignettes, you know, little vignettes, little, you know, there's never really there's a single plot to the movie, but it's not necessarily what holds the movie. It's
yeah, no, not at all.
It tells you how good already that this movie is that it's got such a thin fucking plot, but the characters are so interesting that they are what hold the movie, and the little random scenes are what holds the movie, and is something that I really do like about this universe that we'll get into when we, you know, get further into it, is the fact that, think about this now, when it comes to movie universes or franchises, they're normally stuck in that kind of genre that they're in, whereas the Ascuniverse is a series of movies where,
so much different shit happens.
yeah, some can be so grounded in reality, but then the other ones, complete fucking fantasy, and you believe it. You're like, if you watch Clerks and then watch fucking Dogma, you're like, this is two completely different genres. But you believe this is a world where dudes are hanging out at a convenience store, dudes are hanging out at a mall, but then at the same fucking time, the disciples and angels and demons are coming down to the freaking town and shit. It's such a weird thing about this universe that, to me, I think really fucking works. You can have a movie that is a complete cartoon, like Strikes Back.
It's just a mirror into reality.
Yeah, it's so fucking different. That's a big thing I love about this series and the characters, because you can have characters that you can do a movie grounded in reality, like Banky Edwards and Holden McNeil, but then you can have characters like Jay and Silent Bob, and it's a complete fucking cartoon, which
It turns into a farce.
yeah, and I just love the shit out of that. But yeah,
It's
so
extremely creative, and what I think I like about Kevin Smith's style, I know some people like to argue that he doesn't have a style, but he does, and what it is the shot composition. Like, the way he shoots a scene is very simple and accessible for any viewer.
yeah,
Where
because
it comes from is through the dialogue.
yeah, long dialogue segments with rarely any cuts. And that, to me, is some of the more engaging stuff, when you can sit there and watch these guys act. You can watch them act. Any other movie, when one character's talking, it cuts to the other character reacting, or, you know, you never see full-on acting that much anymore. And just to see that in, you know, in in Smith movies is really fun to me.
No, it really is a testament to some of these actors, because, quite frankly, a lot of these people weren't actors.
Yeah, and definitely, you know, when you watch Clerks, the whole movie reeks of amateur, but
Yeah,
there's a charm to it.
So natural as well.
Yeah, there's a charm to it. You're like, this motherfucker did his thing. I think one of the only times in the movie where I'm like, oh, that's some fairly bad acting, is the girl that plays Veronica. She's not very good, just to say the least.
I think it's more just the way her voice comes off. She's very whiny.
Yeah, especially her first moment when she busts in and she's spraying everybody with the fire extinguisher. Like, that's some pretty bad deliveries in that whole moment for me.
Yeah, it's a little wonky, and then later on she's stumbling over her lines and stuff like that, and you start to notice that. You notice it with Veronica, and you notice it a lot with Jason Mewes, that, like, they just start flubbing lines mid-take, but it almost makes it come off as more natural.
Yeah, more natural and more real, because nobody, you know, in real life, when they're just hanging out doing their thing, nobody speaks correctly.
Yeah.
I mean,
And what I love is that, like, again, Jason Mewes wasn't an actor. Kevin Smith just put him there and said, be you.
yeah.
And tell how nervous the young Jason Mewes was, like, who had never been in a movie before.
You
like,
can seriously
a character, but this is like pure Jay.
Yeah. Jay at its right. He's playing himself. Because you can tell from between this and into Mallrats, you could see a completely different change in that character. And
what was is they were super close to fucking recasting.
yeah,
Jason Mewes
super close. Super close. Thank God they didn't. Oh my God. But
like Seth or some fucking
from
shit.
from Mallrats on out, that became the Jay character. That Mallrats version is what you wound up seeing as Jay forever. So if you were used to the other movies and then came to this one and saw Jay, you're like, whoa, it's a little different. Because he's got more of an asshole jerk quality to him in this one, whereas in the other ones, he's more of a goofy stoner. A lovable, goofy stoner.
In the future movies, he's the jerk with the heart of gold.
Yeah.
Whereas he's just the jerk stoner. You know what I mean? He's more real in this.
Mm-hmm. So,
and you first?
I was going to say, let's go ahead and run through the movie, but go ahead and finish what you were saying.
I was just going to point out that it's funny when we cut back to Jay and Silent Bob, because in this movie, like, it's scenes, and then for comedic relief, we just kind of cut to the outside of the store, and there's Jay and Silent Bob, and they do, like, a little segment. And when we first meet them, he's, like, hitting on girls on the street and stuff like that. You know, what's up, baby? What's up, sluts?
Yeah.
Like, shit. And you can see them looking back and forth like they're supposed to be talking to onlookers. But I love how cheap this movie is. You look in the window, and you see the houses reflected off the window, and there's nobody walking by. It's great.
Oh, yeah. So
that's essentially like at the beginning of the movie, but the way we start is classic. Dante falling out of the closet.
Yeah, Dante falling out of the closet. His phone's ringing. Is it a Saturday?
I think so. It's either a Friday or a Saturday. It's supposed to be his day off. As we all know, he's not even supposed to be there today.
Yeah, that's, he's obviously had a wild-ass night.
Mm-hmm. And he has a hockey game that he's supposed to be doing that day. So, yeah, it probably is the weekend.
Yeah, he gets called into work. And that is where the movie begins. You see his morning
credit sequence.
Yeah, you see his morning shift shit, putting the coffee on. Well, first, you know, he opens the doors, he goes to open the shutters, and there's gum jammed in the locks. So he puts up the big old classic sign, "I assure you, we're open."
Made out of shoe polish.
Yeah, made out of shoe polish of all things. Which is an odd kind of running joke, because I'm like,
yeah, right?
Why did you use shoe polish? You're working in a convenience store. I'm sure there are tons of magic markers you could have used, but
It explains that like it was all he had at the moment. I think they were like out of markers, but it's a rushed like explanation. The whole reason why they did the shutters closed with gum is actually a reason because of the filmmaking. Is if they had the shutters open, the film would be like super, like the lighting, you know what I mean? The lighting would be super exposed.
Yeah.
And it would just look like shit. Like, it would look like 10,000 J.J. Abrams lens flares.
Yeah. So it totally makes sense. It totally works. Cool.
Yeah, so they just dim the lights, essentially.
Yeah, cool explanation to, you know, already, Kevin Smith is an incredibly amateur filmmaker, and already you're seeing bits of workarounds that, you know, people have to deal with, and you're seeing him coming up with fairly clever solutions to those problems he's got to work around. So already you're seeing strokes of genius at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, dude, this movie screams passion, and it really is, like I said before, fairly... It's pretty much autobiographical because the dude's filming at his job.
He's filming at his job, and Dante and Randall are based off of him and his buddy Brian Johnson, who Brian Johnson was originally supposed to play Randall, but something happened. They had a bit of a falling out before filming started, so he got old buddy that we're all familiar with. God, what?
Jeff Anderson for Randall.
Jeff Anderson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think Jeff Anderson, had walked in and read for Dante, which would have been really weird.
Yeah, it would have been really weird, because even so, you know, you never get an idea of how Randall is based off of Brian Johnson until you see Brian Johnson in the Comic Book Men series and how he's just hanging out and talking shit. And after seeing that...
Absolutely.
Huh?
I just agreed with you. I said absolutely.
Yeah, and after seeing that, you can see the connection, but I can't see him being Randall. Like, Jeff Anderson,
Yeah, I can't
perfect.
acting it out. I can see the inspiration,
Yeah,
but not the.
perfect fucking Randall.
It's all in the voice.
Yeah, it's all in the voice. The delivery, that snarky fucking, I'm not paying a single ounce of attention to what you're saying to me. Like, just the perfect snide fucking asshole. And so what happens next? Is this when the, can I get a pack of cigarettes?
Yep, we open up on the Chuli's gum representative trying to get a young, like, 19-year-old off of cigarettes, and there's a weird story. I'm really fascinated by the making of this movie and the distributing of this movie and how it was shown, like, in really small theaters before it came out, and when the Weinsteins finally came across it, you know, they were huge smokers, so they almost fucking walked out when that came up because they thought they were being preached to. But they said just wait around and look for the number 37. Once that came up, they knew they were going to distribute the film. But I don't know. Like, it's a pretty fun opening to the movie, I guess. It's the way to get things started up, you know?
Yeah, and
already the day starts off with some bullshit.
Yeah, and what a weird sort of contrast to today, because at the same time, the person preaching to the smokers is an asshole who's just trying to make money. Same way as the smoking companies just trying to make money. And this dude is fucking patronizing and all that at other stores. And I like the fact that the scene isn't really taking sides. It's telling you, yeah, smoking sucks, but look at what the people who aren't smoking are doing. And
yeah, everybody's got their bullshit, you know?
Yeah, and so you'll never see a scene like that today. I think the closest, or the last time we ever got anything fairly intelligent as far as the smoking wars goes was that Thank You for Not Smoking movie.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so
That movie's fucking great.
yeah, so this that scene I always liked because it's 1994 at the very beginnings of the whole truth movement. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So
and that and Dare and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So after that, like you said, we get introduced to Veronica after he gets pelted with cigarettes. Fucking cancer merchant.
Cancer merchant. Yeah, they're peltering his ass with cigarettes, and she comes in there like a fucking superhero.
Yeah, she stands on top of the fucking ice cream machine.
Yeah, and she's spraying everybody with the fire extinguisher. Saves the day. And
Kevin has such a great, like, comedic timing. Like, you could tell, like, the movie he had in his head versus what he filmed, because, like, right after all this, the dude just turns around and goes, so, pack of cigarettes?
Yeah.
And what I love about it is, like, that's a typical, like, setup and payoff, right? But again, because Walt Flanagan isn't a fucking actor, like, there's a bit of an awkwardness to it. He's not, like, saying the line, like, completely naturally, and it just makes it, like, 10 times funnier, to me at least.
Yeah.
And Walt Flanagan plays, like, half the fucking people in this movie.
Yeah, he's like 3 dudes in this fucking movie.
Which leads to a good question, like, which one is your favorite? I know which one's mine.
My favorite is definitely the Eggman.
The Eggman is pretty good. He's probably my number 2, but I love the fucking guy. Like, I'm never shopping here again. You guys have extremely offended me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, God.
Just the way he runs out.
Yeah, Walt Flanagan's a badass, too, man. Like, I like that dude a lot, too.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I watched that first season of Comic Book Man, man, that's a hard show to watch. Because the scenes where it's like, obviously this is set up to pad the show, like, you know,
It's meant to be 1 stars, but for comics.
yeah, and I'm just like, I don't need this random shit, you know, like, I'm more into the people trying to sell crap, and I'm more into the history behind things like that. I don't need you.
Not like skits.
Yeah, I don't need these fucking skits that are obviously just fake. Like with, Jay coming to hang out at the store for a day and he's just acting weird and opens up the toys and he's playing with the toys. Like, I'm sorry. That is so not genuine. Like, none of that felt real to me.
That's kind of like my ironic enjoyment of it. Like, but after a while, yeah, you kind of gotta just be like, I gotta change the channel.
Yeah, like, we're gonna go to...
Just a podcast segment.
The podcast segments are really good.
It's awesome.
Yeah, or we're gonna go to a con or something. We're gonna sell some shit at a convention. Oh, we're at the wrong place. Let's go yard selling, and then we just so happen to find some incredibly rare Migos really cheap at a yard sale. I'm sorry, but that reeks of setup. Like, there's no fucking way. I'm sorry.
Like, yeah, there was one storyline where they, like, went out in the middle of the woods to, like, spot a monster or something, and it was fucking Robert Bruce in a costume or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, enjoyable show, but there are things on it that... to me, it's that reality TV shit that annoys me about it.
It is just like Clerks in TV form, where it's like, you can tell what they're trying to do, but they're not professionals.
So what happens next?
HD television show, like, it doesn't really pan out as good as Clerks did.
Yeah. But so what happens next is this when they're laying behind the counter just talking, and he's got that.
What I love is, like, the movie becomes about Dante and Randall, but for, like, the first, like, 15 minutes, we do not see Randall, and we really establish Dante's relationship as the main plot before we get into the more non sequitur stuff.
Yeah, because, like, it's weird that this movie sets some things up that you think is what the focus is gonna be, and then it drops that shit for a long, long time.
And what makes it so great is because the entire movie is the span of one day. And like she said, she eventually has to go to a seminar or some shit. Mm-hmm. So, like, in real time, yeah, he would have nothing better to do but just sit there and shoot the shit with Randall.
Yeah. Which is pretty fucking cool. So, they're sitting there talking, and he's talking about how he had sex with all these women. And then, you know, she's being cool about it. And then, let me see, a guy comes in there, this weirdly guy.
Oh, yeah, Willem.
Huh?
His name's Willem. He's played by Scott Mosier.
Oh, yeah, Scott Mosier, man.
Yeah, he was talking about how he slept with 13 chicks. She gets all offended, slaps him. And I love how genuinely shocked he comes off right there. Like, Dante just can't catch a break from anybody. So she flips out that he had sex with 12 different women while she only had sex with 3, including him.
And then you find out she sucked old buddy's dick and calls him Snowball. Because he likes to have the nut.
But it's the snowball effect, really, because once you bring that up, it all just goes downhill.
Yeah. And so he gets all mad because she sucked 37 dicks.
And this is a brilliant comedic scene. Like, every single line in this scene is, like, gold. Because right when you think you found the punchline, you think the punchline is, I'm 37, and then he has to fucking rant about, oh, my girlfriend fucking sucked 37 dicks. And the guy goes, in a row?
Yeah.
It just keeps building on it. Hey, try not to suck any dick on your way through the parking lot.
Yeah, oh my god. And, so, I like how this movie sets characters up, like, you get the title card, boom, Randall.
Yeah, it's split, like you said, it's split into vignettes.
And so you get Randall coming in, and I love this because you got people waiting at the video store, and he's just acting like a fucking customer, you know, and he's just, you know, what's going on here? Oh, I've waited like blah blah blah. It's so and so time, and so he's like, all right, and he walks next door, gets the keys, walks back over there, opens the door, and everybody's like, what the fuck now? I love that shit. You get an idea of his character and his attitude towards society the moment he's on screen.
He's kind of an anarchist in a way. He kind of just likes to fuck around and just do his own thing.
Yeah, and he doesn't give a shit what kind of chaos erupts because of it.
Yeah, I love how when he gets the keys and goes back to RST, like, he completely ghosts the girl like he didn't even talk to her at first, and then comes back and opens the door and gives her that cocky fucking smirk.
Yeah.
We also gotta love the fucking Randall walk that he does when he walks into the fucking...
Yeah. The
which
little...
supposedly was improvised, like, on the set.
That little stride.
Yeah, that was supposedly, like, they had finished filming for one day, and it was the weekend, so, like, when he left set, he fucking put his Wranglers on. But anyway, so Veronica leaves after that whole fucking debacle.
Yeah.
And then that's when we introduced to Randall, of course. Jeez, now even I'm trying to remember what the fuck happened next.
Yeah, what happens next?
Because now that's when it starts to just turn into the different dialogue scenes, you know?
Yeah.
Then on, that's where we get most of, like, the Star Wars stuff. We cut back to Berserker, all that shit.
Yeah, see, like, has Jay and Silent Bob been introduced at this point?
Yeah, they were introduced during the Chuli's Gum scene.
Okay.
Because while he's ranting about fucking, he's the merchant of death, you know, and there was another group of people out there who were just following orders. They were called Nazis. It cuts to them outside fucking smoking a cigar. Or something.
Yeah, and so yeah, that I love that. Yeah, man, this guy's in a band, you know, heavy metal. Oh yeah, you do heavy metal? He's like, God, dude, is he like, would you like some making fuck berserker?
My love for you is ticking clock.
Yeah, and she's like, did he just say making fuck?
Later, think about this. Several movies later, you watch Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and Jay is wearing a Berserker shirt with the dude in black and white on the shirt, and he's living in the same universe as that dude. So in my mind, I'd like to think he made it in the heavy metal scene.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And then later in the movie, they actually do have a recorded version of Berserker.
Yeah, which is also on the CD soundtrack.
Which I was about to bring up. Like, we really can't continue without talking about the incredibly 90s soundtrack.
And what's cool is, it's not a stereotypical 90s soundtrack. It's definitely a 90s soundtrack, but after this, your movies that tried to be Clerks had a very 90s radio soundtrack to it. Like the movie Empire Records. It wanted so to be Clerks, but at a record store. And its soundtrack, rugged soundtrack, but definitely well-known names. Shit you could hear on the radio. Cranberries, Gin Blossoms, Jerry Cantrell. Huh?
Like shit you could market, you know, like
Yeah.
the soundtrack. We got fucking No Doubt or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, really. And this soundtrack...
Probably on the soundtrack is Alice in Chains. Or, I think there's,
Yeah, you've
Bad
got
Religion on here.
Bad Religion, Alice in Chains, and Soul Asylum. And let me see, who else? You've got... and then, you know, Get Me Wrong by Alice in Chains, you know, it's not even like well-known tracks. I mean, you got Jesus Lizard on there, Stabbing Westward, Corrosion of Conformity. So there's some well-known names on there, but they aren't like massive. I think, like you said, Alice in Chains are probably one of the only massive names on there. Bad Religion and Jesus Lizard, you know, they had some play, but so was Soul Asylum, but Alice in Chains definitely probably one of the biggest names on the soundtrack.
And then in the middle of the album, you also got more tracks that are mostly known for Clerks, like the Chewbacca song.
Yeah, Chewbacca was a Wookiee.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, man, yeah.
And what's easy about this movie as well is, like, not only did they film it in the Quick Stop, I'm pretty sure they did every aspect of the film process at Quick Stop and RST. I think they filmed it in the convenience store and then edited it in the video store, like in the back, like they were mixing sound and shit.
That's cool.
It's incredibly do it yourself, so like you gotta respect it on that level.
Oh yeah. So
apparently there's a movie out there, like a biopic about the making of Clerks, but I don't know like what the release of it is like, because I think it might have been shown at a couple of film festivals. I don't know how they got the rights to do it. Supposedly James Rolfe is in it, which is kind of cool, but It's a movie where they recreate the making of Clerks. And I think it's just called Making Clerks.
Shooting Clerks.
Shooting Clerks
is a biographical comedy drama about making Clerks. The film stars many of the original stars, as well as Kevin Smith himself. Smith also served as the executive producer, and the film had its world premiere at San Diego Comic-Con July 20th of this year.
This year?
Yeah, interesting.
I remember hearing like buzz about it and like maybe a trailer, like, but this movie's been in development for years.
Yeah, actually 2016 British-American biographical comedy drama directed by Christopher Downey. So yeah, it's a movie that's been 3 years in the making.
So hopefully we'll get to view it soon.
Yeah, hopefully. It said the film's final cut was screened at CDCC on July 20th. So yeah, just barely 2 months ago, on the 25th anniversary of Clerks. That's rad. That's rad as shit.
I hope it's good. I feel like, you know, when I saw the poster for it, like, because don't they, it stars most of the cast, right? But don't they have, like, other people playing, like, Brian O'Halloran and stuff?
Let me see. It actually, well, it stars Brian O'Halloran, Mark Frost, Jason Mewes, Scott Shafio, Matthew Postlewaite, and Kevin Smith. So Mark Frost plays Kevin Smith.
Yeah, see, they got other people playing.
Wow.
It's going to be interesting to see somebody playing Kevin who's not Kevin, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be weird. A dude.
So I hope they get the mark.
A dude named Chris Bain is playing Jason Mewes, while Jason Mewes is playing a guy named Martin Meister Lars. So, that would be pretty weird to see. I mean, really.
It feels like it's going to be a mixture of, like, reality with a View Askew-universe kind of comedy to it.
Yeah, that would be rad. So where are we at in this movie?
So Randall is just chilling out at the video store, and pretty much what his job is he just sits there and watches movies and tells the customers to fuck off.
Yeah.
That's when we get this incredibly awkward scene, the happy, scrappy hero pup scene.
Yeah, where he just gets on the phone and just this list of nasty porn titles in front of this woman and her daughter.
And I remember, because I have the Clerks X DVD set, which comes with, like, all the different, like, documentaries and the different cuts of the film.
Yeah.
What's it called? Jeff Anderson was talking about how he was, like, super uncomfortable, like, saying some of these titles. And he's like, do you think we could, like, cut down the list a little bit? Kevin's like, oh yeah, sure. He takes the list, and you think he's going to cross names out, but instead he adds 3 more.
And I love his delivery. Another part that shows a bit of his just, I don't give a fuck, you're a bitch, get away from me, is when she mentions the movie and she says, yeah, my daughter loves it. He just, obviously.
Yeah, dude, he says it so shittily.
Yeah, I fucking love that.
So then after this scene, we get the... Do we get the Star Wars dialogue? I believe we do.
Yeah, this is why it hurts my brain so much trying to place these scenes in a chronological order. Because he just shows up.
It's like a real conversation. They talk about shit that actually matters. Like, he talks about her sucking 37 dicks and stuff like that. But then it kind of just eases into, like, the more casual Star Wars dialogue.
Yeah, and what's...
Then that Star Wars dialogue goes into this thing about fucking babyface Bambino, the gangster.
Yeah. And so what I like is how this the conversations evolve, because the way it starts is Randall will say his thing while Dante doesn't even really acknowledge it, because Dante is talking about his relationship. So it's like, boom, relationship problem. Boom, problem with Star Wars. Relationship problem with Star Wars. And, you know, it's kind of, I kind of like the way that is, or the way that flows, because neither...
They're on 2 different wavelengths.
Yeah, and neither of them are paying attention to each other, but they're still going on about what they're saying. Like, they don't even know that they're not paying any attention to each other. And then the guy shows up, yeah, I'm a contractor. And so, like, it just, the conversation just blows up and involves some other random guy. And
if you've ever had a job like this, that's kind of the way it is.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you'll be talking to, like, your coworker, and then all of a sudden, like, a customer will come over and join in. The conversation will go into a completely different place. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely wild. And that's why I think this movie came out at the perfect time, because from what I've seen, so many people were, like, in that position in the 90s, you know? This movie struck a chord with so many, like, early 20-year-olds to 30-year-olds.
Oh, yeah.
So, it really, like, couldn't have come out any other time. And we'll get into that when we talk about Clerks 2, a movie which I still like, but Clerks in the 2000s is extremely different than what, you know, it was when it started, you know?
Yeah.
So what it shows, though, with Dante and Randall's characters is they're both 2 opposite extremes. Like, Dante gives too much of a fuck, while Randall doesn't give enough of a fuck.
And weirdly enough, they're really the only friends each other has.
Yeah.
There's a...
Hey, they tolerate each other.
Yeah, they don't know how much they care about each other till, like, the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that too, because they're these complete opposites, but they are best buddies. And what's so crazy is the movie has you thinking it's about Dante's relationship with his girlfriend, but really, to me, the movie's about Dante and Randall's relationship as friends, and the shit that Randall talks him into, and, you know, it's, yeah.
Yeah, it is a movie about friendship, and in a weird cosmic sort of way. Like you said, they're based off of Smith and Brian Johnson. And like you said, they had this big falling out, which, you know, Dante and Randall also have, like, kind of a falling out in the climax of the movie. They have the giant blowout in the store.
Mm-hmm.
And it just perfectly shows, like, look where we all are now, you know. Him and Brian Johnson are friends again, you know. It just perfectly mirrors reality.
Yeah.
And you could tell Randall cares overall, even though he doesn't show it, because we have that scene later where Caitlin comes back, Caitlin Bree, who's supposed to be marrying the Asian design major, which I don't think we even got into that yet.
Yeah.
But there's that scene where Randall's like, if you break his heart again, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
So you could tell, like, he really does, like, care for Dante deep down. And some people have theorized that maybe he likes him a little more than just a friend, based on the porn he was checking out in that scene.
Oh.
Chicks with dicks.
Chicks with dicks. So, yeah, he finds out through the newspaper that Caitlin Bree is getting married, who I didn't find out till last week that that lady is dead.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up, that she's no longer with us. That was maybe a year or two back, maybe 3.
It was... Yeah, 2 years ago, May 20th, 2017. Wow.
Yeah.
And nobody said a single word on social media.
I remember posting a little something because I had seen what Kevin wrote about it.
Damn.
And I was like, that sucks.
Yeah, so he finds out that she's getting married, and she's his ex-girlfriend that he pines over, and what annoys me is, like, alright, you've already got this other chick that clearly gives more shits than the Caitlyn chick. Why are you going to ruin that by...
What you already have.
Yeah, let this bitch have the fashion designer. You've got this new fucking chick, you know, and other characters have to kind of hammer it in his head too. But, yeah, so he's...
because she ends up, like, coming back, and she seems like the kind of girl who definitely, like, loves to play games with Dante. Because she comes back saying, like, I don't even want to marry him, like, my parents published that.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they could have went on a good date, who knows? Like, when I watch this movie, I kind of see, like, Dante is being an ass. But if she hadn't have fucked the dead guy, maybe he still could have salvaged the night, like, somehow, in his own mind, you know?
Yeah, so...
But, like, Caitlin's kind of a chaotic neutral character, you know what I mean? She's not good, she's not bad.
Yeah, and she's only around for a...
Keep going.
Yeah, she's only around for a minute. So what happens next? I'm gonna go ahead and go through this scene. This old man is talking to Dante about how he's got to take a shit.
Yup.
Then he comes back. Oh, you know, can I have some good toilet paper? He gets some good toilet paper. Comes back. Can I get a magazine? And gets a fucking porn mag. You're like, yeah, this dude's going in there to jack off. And then you forget about it. You completely forget about it because it's one of those things where you think that, yeah, this joke is just here for the now, and you can easily forget about it and think this guy just, you know, left off screen. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, just consider it another one of the non sequiturs.
Yeah, and so for it to come back later in the movie when enough time has passed for you to completely forget about it, and it comes back in such a big, gross-ass way, one of the funniest parts in the movie.
That's what I'm saying, like, for somebody who went to film school and didn't even, like, go to school for, like, writing per se, like, and for a first film, no less, like, Kevin Smith shows, like, fucking insane talent when it comes to setting up and paying off and making things flow to his will, you know?
Yeah. And so...
But what I was getting at with Caitlyn is that in the animated series, they definitely make her more out to be the loose one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's one episode where, like, she's outside the quick stop talking about, like, oh, Dante, if you don't come out, I'm just going to end up going with somebody else. Like, she's aware of her own behavior.
Yeah.
Whereas in this movie, she comes off more realistic.
Yeah.
Kind of just as long as the other
characters. The
characters.
Clerks cartoon definitely turned every character's stereotype up. Definitely turned them up a notch.
Yeah.
So it works for a cartoon.
And that they even put Caitlyn in the cartoon to begin with.
Yeah. So what happens next?
So he goes and, you know, what's it called? We talked about the old man scene. Before that, we see Randall selling a child cigarettes.
Yeah,
which
just
that's another think is not going to come back.
Yeah, just out of nowhere, because Randall's not paying attention. And then you see the kid light up, which is something I really like too, which is something you'll never see in a movie today, is the kid.
I was about to say that.
But that happens, and so do they play hockey or go to the funeral first? No, they play hockey first because it's nighttime when they come back from the funeral.
Yeah, they play hockey on the roof, and they close the store temporarily. They're all stealing the snacks
And the
which leads to
Gatorade.
My favorite low-key line, like, well, if I start giving, like, you Gatorade, then I'll have to start giving everybody else Gatorade. He says, hey, what the fuck do you care, you shoe-polish-smelling motherfucker?
Yeah. Yeah, and...
It's just so blunt and in your face. Like, you can tell these are real Jersey folk. So they play hockey on the roof, which this is a fun scene.
Yeah, it is a fun scene.
It turns into a sports movie for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, and then you get this guy coming up there. He's pissed off, and because they won't open the store, and then he starts coaching them on their fucking game, and they're like, well, you fucking do it. And he gets up there, and he just, complete asshole, pushes fucking Dante over and just knocks the ball off of the roof and into the fucking sewer, and just walks down fucking, comes off the roof, you know, it's like, alright motherfuckers, open the store now.
And what I love is, like, the guy mimics, like, pretending to hit him with his hockey stick, and the music chimes in, like, at the perfect moment. It's a nice little cap off to the scene.
Yeah.
But what's trippy about this scene is the dude who ends up knocking the ball into the sewer, that is, again, producer Scott Mosier, who played the Snowball dude before.
Yeah.
And then we see when, what's it called? When he's arguing with Dante to open the store, we cut back to the ground and we see the Snowball guy walk up to the store again. He goes, hey, are you guys open? And then they yell no. So Scott Mosier just basically screamed at himself for a split second.
Yeah.
So him and Walt Flanagan. Walt takes the cake, but there's a couple of Mosiers in here. But then after that, they get the notice about the funeral.
Yeah, they get the notice about the funeral. Now, before we get in the funeral, let me smoke a cigarette. Okay, we're back. Nicotine calls again. We're at the funeral. They find out that, I forget the girl's name, but I do like the fact that this lady who died is the character who was originally supposed to be on Truth or Date.
Yes.
Yeah, who wound up dying in Mallrats, basically giving us what kicks the plot in gear in Mallrats, where T.S.'s girlfriend has to...
Mallrats is supposedly the day right before Clerks.
Yeah, so it's weird, isn't it? Because it's like, Mallrats is a prequel in a way.
Yeah. A more high-budget prequel in color with actual celebrities.
Yeah, and I like how it's a prequel but doesn't say that it's a prequel.
Yeah, it's just its own story in this universe that happens to coincide. Not to mention, I don't know what Dante's family is like, but I assume he has a lot of brothers that look exactly like him, because throughout the series, we're going to see a ton of different Hickses.
Yeah, brothers, cousins, who knows? Which I think is cool, because it's another thing that sort of expands this universe a little bit.
Yeah.
So, this girl is dead, and it's the funeral.
But before that, we get the scene about sucking your own dick.
Yeah, on the way to the funeral, they close the store down to go to this wake. And, because it's not necessarily the funeral, it's the viewing.
Yeah.
And, So,
They head to the funeral house, and we don't see what happens on the inside, but supposedly Randall leans against the fucking coffin, and the
yeah.
coffin falls over.
And here's the thing. This whole scene I love originally because on the way there they're talking shit about Randall talks about what his cousin that died trying to suck his own dick, and then
This is like the third joke that you think you could forget about, but comes back later.
yeah. And so they get there. Next thing you know, cut. They're getting out of there really quick. The people are pissed off at them. They get back, and he's like, "What the fuck, man?" You know, he's like, "Yeah, dude, I just leaned over. Man, her body fell out of the casket." And you know, to me, that's they always say, "Oh, show don't tell" in movies, but that is definitely better not shown. It's better seeing the characters sort of reaction, like, man, blah blah, I can't believe you did that, because you see it in your head a little more fun than what would have been on screen, because
it's another setup and payoff, because now you've caused all this chaos and you're wondering, well, what could have happened, and then it's just the perfect delivery. Oh, you knocked the fucking casket over.
yeah. And so the version I watched, I bootlegged it on some bootleg streaming site last weekend. And when it got to this spot, it says Clerks, the missing scene. And it's...
Bring this up. And there's an animated segment where they take the scene from the script and finally bring it to light.
And it's done in the Clerks, the animated series style. But man, does it drag. It fucking drags. But it opens up the world a little more, because you see the girl from Chasing Amy, and he calls her finger cuffs, and you get a little more of the world that eventually opens up in the movies. But damn, does it drag. Fuck, it drags. And they...
Yeah, it's gotta be like a super big Kevin Smith fan who just wants more of like his run-on dialogue, because you're not a super big Kevin Smith fan, you're really not going to get anything out of this. Not to mention, it's inconsistent with the movie. I don't know if the script said like 5 minutes later or something like that, because that's what they ended up doing. Since they didn't have the budget to film the scene, a card comes up that says 5 minutes later, you hear the casket fall over, and they run out.
Yeah.
But the scene itself lasts way longer than fucking 5 minutes, and
a lot more happens that involves the casket falling over than just you leaned on the casket and it fell over. Well, shit, did you forget that the keys fell in her crotch and you're digging around trying to fucking get the keys, and then the parents see you after the parents walked in on you going down on her months ago, years ago? And so, yeah, there's a lot more that happens in the scene that is brought up originally. And to me, the best thing about the scene is how it opens the world up, and you see these other characters who show up later in the series. And so, yeah, it's a scene that definitely you can do without.
But definitely not needed.
Yeah.
I think the fast-paced edit of the original cut is a lot funnier.
Yeah.
Not to mention, of course, like, I just keep coming at it with the weird trivia, like, knowledge. But when you see the car driving away, and you see the three people coming out and, like, cursing at the car and shit, you see one lady in a white dress in the center. That was straight up just one of Kevin Smith's friends. It was just a dude.
Yeah, that was Walt Flanagan. Well, no, that was Ed Hespeck.
Yes.
Angry Funeral Woman. But also Angry Mourner is Scott Mosier. Scott Mosier plays another one of the angry funeral people.
So there's another tidbit.
So, they get back, it's dark, you also find out that the owner of the store was supposed to show up at 12, but never does. He just went out of town. Which is why Dante is still there, still complaining about how I'm not supposed to be here today. Then Caitlin Bree shows up, and God, what the fuck happens? There's another scene I want to mention that it happens earlier during the day where Randall's sitting on the counter reading a newspaper or something, and this lady walks in and she's asking if he has a fucking movie or something.
Yeah.
And he's
asking like if she's holding like up 2 movies, and she's like, "Are these any good?"
oh yeah, that's what it is. And he's just being an asshole. And then she turns around and says, "Well, what about these movies?" And he's like, "I don't know." And she's like, "They're the same movies." And so she gets pissed off at him. "I'm never going to be here, shop here again." And he's like, "I don't like your ruse.
Yeah.
Your cunning attempt to trick me."
Ruse, man.
And so just turns it around on her. And
He's the one with the problem, but he also knows how to make you feel like you're the one with the problem.
yeah. And so she's busting out of there. And what I love is when she leaves, she says something, and she's like, "I'm never gonna shop here again." And so he gets up, busts open the door, and he's like, "You're not allowed to rent here anymore." And when he says that, fucking Jay's just like, "Yeah!"
Yeah! That's one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, just a really funny ass fucking scene. So yeah, back, Caitlin Bree shows up. What's happening at this point?
Well, before Caitlin Bree shows up, this is the scene with Rick Darris where he's shape. And they have that whole big scene of dialogue, and then the dude comes in and gives Dante the fine for selling the cigarette to the kid.
Yeah.
And now they think he's an asshole because it was actually Randall. But what's cool about the Rick Darris scene is, one, the dude playing Rick Darris was originally supposed to be Dante. He was just one of Kevin Smith's high school friends, but again, he wasn't an actor. So, like, if you think, like, the acting in this movie is already a little wonky, just imagine him being Dante.
Seriously.
And then another one of his friends was supposed to be Silent Bob because Kevin Smith wanted to be Randall, but Kevin had the good sense to be like, "Listen, I'm gonna fucking ruin this movie if I'm one of the stars. I'd much rather be the person who doesn't talk."
Yeah.
But the thing with Rick Darris is that another girl walks in, and apparently she's the sister of the girl from Chasing Amy, because they mention her, and they mention that they used to know each other, and then in Chasing Amy, like, she says that she fucked Rick Darris. So, I don't know. It's just more world building.
Yeah. Shit.
And again, it's really fascinating because aside from maybe the Universal horror monsters, this is like the first blatant expanded like universe in film that's not like expanded outside the books. Although like later on there would be more comics and stuff like that. Like before Tarantino confirmed it was a universe, like this was one of the first.
Yeah. Real and you know, he never really called it out either. You know, you had to be big time fans and, you know, put it together yourself.
Yeah, and once again, I don't know why I just thought about this, because before I mentioned Jay wearing the Berserker shirt, but in fucking Mallrats, when they're going through the flea market, T.S. fucking picks up a baseball cap, and it has the Clerks logo.
It has the Clerks logo, and he's like, he puts it on, and other things are happening. So it's like you have to pay attention to T.S. He puts it on, and then takes it off, and he looks at it, and like he kind of like shakes his head, like, "Nah, this sucks," and tosses it away, like kind of dissing Clerks in a way.
I feel like Kevin Smith, I feel like he's, of course, proud of his work, but at the same time, he's always had kind of a self-deprecating look at himself.
Yeah. Very, very big on the self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
And so that's a bit of a nod to that I kind of liked, and I never noticed before until I watched it last week. Because last week I watched Clerks and Mallrats back to back, and I've never noticed that before.
What blows my mind about it though is like with the berserker shit, like I said, you could argue, oh, he just became a big metal singer. How do you explain the Clerks hat?
Yeah,
it's
just there in that universe.
It's kind of like, how are you going to explain Jay and Silent Bob being in Moose Jaws?
Yeah, or Scream 3.
Yeah, right? Like, is Scream 3 in the Askew-universe?
I mean, really. So, that means all 4 Scream movies are happening in the Askew-universe. Which makes sense. It's Dimension Films. It was owned by Miramax, right? And the Weinsteins and shit.
Yup.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense. And in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, you got Wes Craven in there, and a monkey fucking playing in Scream. Weird fucking time just explodes.
It's all coming together. Alanis Morissette opened the book and threw fucking Ghostface in there.
So, what happens next? This is what.
So, was up, and they have their big scene in the video store. So once again, we have another static shot where we just let the actors go at it, and it's exposition up the ass, but it's really well done. The woman who plays Caitlin is not bad at all.
Yeah, she's not bad. Yeah, she's not bad at all.
But, so, he's getting ready, because she shows up and then comes back. So he goes and gets ready for the date, and he's just wearing, quite frankly, the worst fucking sweater I think I've ever seen on a human being. It looks like Charlie Brown got, a seizure, and, the patterns just went insane.
Yeah.
But, what's it called? After that, Caitlin comes back, and this is where we lead into the dead body scene.
Yeah. She's talking about, how'd you get out here so fast?
Yeah. I forgot. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, because in the time Dante goes to get ready for his date, Randall, I think, takes over the convenience store, and that's where he and Caitlin have the don't break his heart discussion.
Yeah.
He comes back, and she thought that he was in the bathroom at that point.
Yeah, so in the span of just a couple minutes, maybe, let's be generous and say 20 minutes, she's already done fucked a dead body, come back out, and he's already changed clothes and everything, but yeah, she's like, how'd you get here so fast? And you don't really understand it. And she's like, yeah.
Full on post-coital, cuddling him all over.
Yeah. And
she's like, the fuck that was. And I love the look that fucking Randall has on his face through the entire time.
Yeah.
Because even he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know about the dead guy in the bathroom because he wasn't there.
Yeah. And she's like, well, you were just laying out there already. You kept the lights off? Yeah. And he's like, that wasn't me. Quit joking. That wasn't me. Well, who was it?
Yeah, and it's like, it is funny, but at the same time, it is so fucked up.
It's
you actually start to feel the anxiety take over the room,
yeah, it's so morbid.
And I feel like this is probably Kevin Smith's most risque movie up until Dogma. And that it's not that Dogma's risque, it's more just controversial.
Yeah, this is probably one of the most morbid jokes I've really seen in a Kevin Smith movie.
In any movie, really.
Oh, but yeah, so doesn't it? The way it does it is, well, who was it? Then it cuts to the coroner and they're wheeling the dead body out,
Yeah.
and he's got the
they bring
big
back,
ass boner.
Is this the weirdest case you've ever had? Oh no, I had one patient who died trying to suck his own dick.
Yeah, so that comes back.
And you could see Randall just get hit with PTSD. Like, he actually starts mourning.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit. And so she's fucking traumatized.
This is one of the more freaky, almost David Lynchian shots in the movie, where it's Caitlin in the hospital, in the ambulance, with the dead body kind of rocking back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know why she's going with the body, but she is. And then Willem Black, Mr. Snowball, walks in with her.
Yeah.
Sits to him.
Just hops on him.
Yep.
Fucking.
That's really all. That's what Clerks, the style of this movie really is. It's like the slacker kind of slice of life comedy vibe of a Linklater film mixed with like the morbid, uncomfortable, like the uncomfortableness of like a David Lynch film. But like not as insane. Like there's no crazy dream sequences with fucking, I don't know, chickens or some shit.
Yeah. But so
this is where we get the salsa shark scene.
Yeah, the salsa shark, which, yeah.
Pretty genius, actually. Like, I can't dip a chip into salsa the same way again without seeing a fin.
Yeah, yeah. Which I'll always remember from the trailer. Like, the trailer always started off with da-da, salsa shark.
Yeah, I was about to bring up the trailer as well, because there was that scene where the coroner is talking about the dead body, and she says that line, you know, what kind of convenience store do you guys run here anyway?
Yeah.
I remember being in the trailer. It's the perfect trailer line. And also, do you also notice that Jay and Silent Bob kind of disappear for a while, which is crazy, because as the movies go on, they really do become like the prominent sidekicks, you know?
Yeah. Like they definitely disappear for a while, and
scene, and then that's it. So you could just assume, I guess, they're off breakdancing for a good hour, 25 minutes.
Yeah, they come back. Probably around this time, they're buying some stuff, and Jay is basically giving Dante a talking to about who he should be with, whether it's Caitlin or Veronica, but when he walks in, you're hearing a rendition of the motherfuck.
Yeah, smoking weed.
Yeah, and so that's cool. It's cool, and motherfucking, it's like a more humanizing part for Jay in this movie.
That's true. We don't really see. This is wise Jay.
Yeah.
As wise as he could be as he starts humping Silent Bob.
Yeah, because what's crazy is, like, after this, you never see Jay be wise again. Like, after this, Silent Bob becomes the wise one.
Yeah. And speaking of which, this is the first in a line of many Silent Bob moments where, you know, he gets his one either line or at least speech of the movie.
Yeah. What does he say in this one?
He says, there's a lot of fine-looking women in the world, but not all of them bring you lasagna at work.
Yeah.
Which is a good point, honestly.
Yeah, seriously. For real, Caitlin's not going to bring him lasagna at work. She's going to be sitting around waiting on him to come home.
Yeah, exactly, and then complain that he's home late.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, it really shoots fucking Dante right back down to the ground, realizing what he's done wrong and stuff like that. That he You know, it doesn't matter if she sucked 37 dicks, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That she genuinely cares. But now he has already blown that, because right after he has this epiphany, you can see, like, Brian O'Halloran actually really sells this moment, but Randall fucks it all up.
Yeah. Randall fucks it all up. What does Randall do?
While he's having this epiphany, like, he's in the video store telling her everything about how he feels about Caitlin.
Yeah.
Because Dante opens up his mouth way too much in front of Randall.
Yeah.
Now, what's weird about this scene where he's talking to Veronica is that was one of the first scenes ever shot for the movie.
Ah.
And Jeff Anderson is in pounds of makeup, and you can tell. Like, with the black and white, it's even more noticeable because his face is insanely fucking pale. Like, he looks like a mime. Looks like a puffy-ass mime, and it's pretty funny. But right after that, fucking Veronica has reached her tipping point. Like, she was defending Dante and tolerating his shit throughout the whole movie, and now she's just fucking done with him. And I love how, like, she goes on this big rant. And it just cuts back again to this face that Dante always gives, where it's like, he's dumbfounded. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, my thing was saying poor connection, so I just wanted to make sure I'm still coming through. He always gives her this dumbfounded look where, like, he's clearly in the wrong, but he doesn't know why he's being yelled at. But yeah, it's just another whining monologue.
Yeah,
I think I had a drama teacher who once worked with this actress.
Huh?
I think I had a drama teacher at one point who worked with this actress on some, like, low-budget film.
Ah. Red.
A weird piece of trivia in my life. And I also gotta say, I love the way the black and white looks once the movie shifts into night.
Yeah.
You know, it really is cheaply made, but the lighting isn't extremely awful. It's a little overexposed, but, like, I don't know.
It looks better when it becomes nighttime.
It's a good look. It really, like, brings home the independent feel of it.
Yeah.
So they have a huge fucking fight.
So does she break up with him, basically?
Yeah, she dumps him.
Dumps his ass.
That's it, they're done.
And so you have Randall and Dante kind of, you know, just spilling their hearts out, and then Randall finally just stands up and points out all the bullshit about Dante, and says a lot of true shit about Dante's character. And
very interesting, because both it really is a real movie, because both characters are deeply, like, not deeply flawed, but flawed. But what's interesting about Randall is he's so good at calling somebody out on their own bullshit, yet he's still like a slave to his own bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
And he makes it seem like he's the master of his own destiny, like he even says that, but then by the time we get to Clerks 2, we see what the real Randall is like, you know, and that it's actually, like, quite sad.
Yeah. And, so they get in this massive fight.
I love the fucking Dutch angle shot of him fucking choking Randall in the middle of the convenience store.
Yeah.
You got the punk music playing, and they settle down. Like, they completely wreck the store, and now they're just sitting there in the waste, having, like, like, you almost think they're going to reach a breakthrough, and then he says it one more time. I'm not even supposed to be here today. And I just love, this is the moment, like you said, when Randall finally stopped. Fuck you.
Yeah. fucking, I'm not even supposed to be here today, blah, 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 blah. But
there it was, falling out, and then, of course, like friends do, that this is where it all comes back together, you know? They help clean up the convenience store.
Yeah, they get over it really quick, and it's like, you know, I'll see you tomorrow? Yeah, man. And I like that. They get their frustrations out, and they don't even really hurt each other too much in this fight. Like, the fight is a very,
You really get to see that, like, how geeky these guys really are. Like, Randall is the kind of guy who likes to come off like he's tough shit, when really they're just both dweebs.
Yeah.
But it also gives you the impression of how long these guys have probably known each other, you know what I mean? Like, they're just so used to having each other in their lives that, like, even when they're at their worst, you know, they couldn't imagine it any other way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say something before, but it slipped my mind, so I guess I'm just going to wait for it to come back.
Yeah, so this is where the movie ends, which, man, a lot of people never knew until around the time Clerks X came out.
The alternate ending.
Yeah, that original ending they shot where this robber just comes in and fucking kills Dante.
Yeah, it's an overly artsy ending.
Yeah, it's an ending that if they'd have kept that ending, the movie would not be as popular as it is. He probably...
It's a little morbid. Like, I could see how on a certain level Kevin Smith probably found it funny, because it's like, this day has been nothing but bad luck for Randall. What could be the final, like, quite literally the final nail in the coffin for Dante?
Yeah.
But I forgot who suggested it. It might have been one of the Weinsteins. It might have been the editor. Although I think Kevin Smith... No, it wasn't the editor, because Kevin Smith edited this himself. But somebody suggested to him that you should end it on the line, "You're closed."
Yeah.
And it does work a lot better. It's a much more charming ending.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It's more than just a comedy. I do consider Clerks an indie art piece, but the ending just completely jumps the shark, in my opinion.
The death ending?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they'd have left that in, the movie would not be as iconic. It would not have the amount of fans. Everybody would be like, "Damn, I love the movie, but the ending sucked." Because everyone would have come out just remembering, fuck, he dies at the end. Nobody would be focusing on the charming dialogue or the fairly guerrilla style shoot, you know. That ending would have taken away all of the positive points of this movie.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's because, like, that's the thing that you walk away with the most. And in having such a low-key, quick ending, it allows you just to appreciate the movie for what it was. Not to mention they have the lighthearted music playing. You know, for what a shit day Dante had, like, the movie ends with him with a smile on his face, you know?
Yeah.
There's at least closure. Whereas if they went with the ending that they originally shot, the last shot of the movie is a shot of his lifeless corpse, and there's not even music playing in the end credits. It's just sounds of the register.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so uncut. Like, Caitlin getting raped by a corpse in the bathroom is already uncomfortable, but now that just completely tips it over the line. Which, now that I think about it, is a little weird, right? That ending with a murder throws everything off, but a fucking rape doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say she's technically raped. I mean, she goes in there, thinks it's him, and she fucks a corpse. So if anything, she just raped a corpse.
Yeah, it's weird. There's not many stories where you could, you could say, like, you fucked a dead corpse. Like, is it rape or was it just a mistake?
Yeah, like, to me, I've always looked at it more like a morbidly comedic mistake.
Yeah, I am sitting here watching the end credits, and this is so weird. I feel like I'm in a Mandela effect moment because fucking Kevin Smith pulls off a Marvel, and the last thing in the credits says Jay and Silent Bob will return in Dogma.
Weird.
Very weird. So that must imply that, and I never knew this. I'm just sitting through the credits now because it was playing on my TV. That I guess he must have been writing Dogma like really early on in his career.
Yeah, weird. And for it to be 2 movies, well, shit, 3 movies after Clerks, or the 3rd movie after Clerks, right? Because there's 2 movies in between Clerks and Dogma.
Yeah, so you had to wait like until '99. And what's also strange is they do it again in
Mallrats with Suzanne
of Jay and Silent Bob with the monkey.
Yeah, well, that's another story.
Yeah, and quite frankly, we don't get that until Clerks the Animated Series, and then we definitely don't get a film version of it until a year later.
Yeah, and it's a little different than what you would have expected.
Yeah, and honestly, like you said, like, people would just walk out of the movie like, oh, he dies at the end? Like, what the fuck? What's up with that?
Just totally bummed. It was a great thing to change that ending because, all anybody would remember. And that would have been spoiled. A lot of people would say, man, movie sucks, dude, he dies at the end. And that would push people off from even wanting to watch it.
Critics back then, especially for an independent movie from somebody nobody had ever heard of, like, they would have just spoiled it right in the papers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Protagonist dies at the end, don't watch this piece of shit. So, but what's really... hold on a second, I'm losing my train of thought here, my bad. It's weird because Dante is just one character in the Askewniverse, but if he had been killed right there, the entire Askewniverse probably would have sank into a black hole. I don't think there would have been any continuation. Even he's in Mallrats, but I just feel like nobody would have even picked up Kevin Smith for a second film.
Yeah.
And for a while, Kevin Smith thought that he had fucked up by making this movie because it wasn't making a lot of money back. It wasn't distributed yet. Fuck, his mom didn't even like the movie.
Yeah, and then after the little Mallrats thing with him basically just doing what the studio told him to do, he wrote off a lot. A lot of his original fans wrote him off, and we're like, what the fuck is this? And so.
Which is sad. Yeah, although Mallrats is more of your typical comedy, it doesn't have a lot of the same indie, more artsy quality as Clerks.
Yeah.
It might be my low-key favorite of the Askewniverse.
It's definitely up there with one of my favorites, too.
It definitely feels more studio, and you could write it off as, it's Clerks in a mall, but I feel like Kevin Smith still had a level of creative freedom with at least his writing, that the story is still somewhat more unique than it had to be,
Yeah.
It's not as complicated as the Clerks storyline, but it's still substantial.
Yeah, like, it's definitely has 1995, 1996 stoner comedy vibes to it, slacker comedy, but to me it's more memorable than a lot of those movies that came out at the time that were slacker comedies in the 90s.
Yeah,
because
like you said, said before, like, it all. Speaking of slacker, like, it all shot off of Linklater's Slacker anyway, so he kind of invented, as Tarantino would put it, the hangout movie.
Yeah.
Like, Jackie Brown is a hangout movie, and you definitely get a feeling, you get some Smith vibes from that as well, where it's more focused on the dialogue and the characters rather than the story. Like I said, once we get into Mallrats as well, like, that still has a plot that it keeps coming back to. Like, Kevin Smith just knows how to blend skits and vignettes with an overall arc.
Yeah. Definitely.
Again, for a first effort, like, I would say Clerks is a cinematic achievement. Like, you can't, even if you don't like the movie, like, you cannot not call this a success story.
Yeah, I love the movie. It's definitely not one of my favorites. It's one that I definitely don't go back to a whole lot. But, I mean, for, like I said, for something, first fucking movie somebody ever did, even though you can see amateur all over it, it's still got a charm that makes you forget about every bit of it, you know?
You're almost along for the filmmaking process.
Yeah.
It's incredibly charming, and like I said, yeah, it's not one that I typically go back to a lot either. Like, I would put it in one of my favorite movies list, but merely out of respect. I do like Mallrats more, but the truth of the matter is, without this movie, and I feel like it's the case with a lot of young film students, like, this was the movie that kicked my ass into writing my first screenplay, because it really gives you the sense of, and it's not an insult, you know what I mean? Like, I love Kevin Smith. It may sound slightly insulting, but, like, if he could do it, anybody can do it, you know?
Yeah, I totally see what you mean. Like, it's inspirational. It's like whenever Kevin Smith opens his mouth, it makes me want to get off my lazy ass and do some shit. So
Exactly. It's like he seems just like most of us, you know what I mean? Me, you, the basement dwellers, you know, our kind of crowd, you know?
yeah, and he never let that shit get to his head, man. He, like you said, he's still a genuine ass dude.
Yeah, he's just, you know, gotten more wacky as he's gotten older.
Like, he helps his buddies out. You know, pretty much everyone that was in this movie were just normal ass dudes, but when they're hanging out with Kevin Smith, they're fucking movie stars, and that's cool as shit to me. Like, the dude takes care of his friends and his family.
And now, you know, the reason why we did this to begin with is now upcoming we have Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah, man, and let's do a little predictions thing, because right now, the thing is, it's a cool thing to hate on Kevin Smith nowadays, and I won't ever be on the Kevin Smith hate train, because I'm a big fan of the Askewniverse, always have been, and when I saw the trailer for this, I was fucking loving it. Oh, I'm like, this is gonna be some fun shit, because I get what he's doing. I totally get what he's doing. He's lampooning Hollywood superhero and reboot culture, and it's just gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's like, even like, I'm not going into the movie with any big expectations. I'm just looking to have a good time with it. Supposedly, there's going to be more expansion of the Askewniverse.
Yeah.
Apparently, from Dogma's coming back. If that Matt Damon in the trailer is Loki, I find it insane that Ben Affleck's back, because they weren't talking to each other for a while.
Yeah. But,
I feel like he's going to be only like one scene though.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, how could it be Loki if Loki was killed when Ben Affleck killed him?
That's true, but like, who else he was in Chasing Amy as some random executive?
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be an original character. Maybe he'll just be Matt Damon.
Yeah, because he was Matt Damon in Strikes Back. Applesauce, bitch.
There you go. So, I don't know. I will never hate Kevin Smith as a person. I will always enjoy listening to his podcast. I will always enjoy him, his personality. I saw him speak once. You know, it was fantastic. He will always be a great personality. And I definitely was more obsessed with his films when I was younger, and just like starting out with my fascination with as independent film. His movies, as of recently, like, are hit or miss for me. Like, I defend Tusk. It isn't perfect in the slightest, like, but for what it was, I'm just glad he got it made.
Fucking love Tusk.
Process.
Love Tusk. Love Red State. I still haven't seen Yoga Hosers.
Awesome. The ending. Yoga Hosers, I think, is what shook my faith on it, if I'm being honest. I feel bad-mouthing the movies because I enjoy that he's still making them, and I think in some ways his skill as a director is definitely getting better. Like, the shots he's able to achieve now, like, the camera work in Tusk wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
Just static shots most of the time. Moose Jaws I'm slightly fascinated in just because I want to see the special effects work, and I want to see, like, a couple of the characters from Tusk come back.
Yeah, but at this point, I don't even think it's going to happen now.
It's too unoriginal, though, that, like, he could have made it, like, clever and called it, like, Antlers or something.
Yeah.
Like a parody of Jaws, but he just straight up called it Moose Jaws.
Yeah, like...
But in a different... you have to, like, think about it to make it funny, you know what I mean? Like, it on its own, it's not that funny, but, like, imagining Kevin Smith just going, fuck it, it's Moose Jaws.
Yeah. Because
I think that's how it is with his audience now. It's like he could communicate to us at that level. And for people who more are into, like, focusing on him as a filmmaker and not just a personality, or people who just aren't, you know, familiar with him in general, they just, I guess, don't get it. It's not their cup of tea, so they criticize it.
Yeah.
So I think Jay and Silent Bob reboot is gonna be a mixed bag, but if they treat it like a 22 Jump Street, where they're self-aware about the whole thing and not, like, and they know how to, like, write it cleverly, it should be good.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure it's gonna... Huh?
When I saw Kevin Smith live, he was about to open it up to Q&A, but then he acknowledged, you know, you've probably seen the evenings with Kevin Smith. Like, one question will spiral into a 3-minute story.
Yeah.
So, instead of that, he whipped out his phone and shared, like, a sneak preview of a scene from Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. And this was before any of the trailers. This is, like, right when they started filming, like, when it was just announced that he was making it. And, you know, I love Kevin, don't get me wrong, but from the scene that he read for me, it's gonna feel like a True North movie in the Askew-universe. My fear is. What I'm really excited for, though, is that Chris Hemsworth is going to play Thor in the movie at some point in the film. And it's probably fucking hilarious, because Chris Hemsworth, you know, Ghostbusters 2016 aside, he's definitely, like, established himself as a really good comedic actor, and I think him and Kevin Smith would probably get along really well, so that's probably going to be a pretty funny scene.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the people he's got involved in the movie. He's got Fred Armisen from Portlandia there. He's got, like, so
Method
many
Man
people.
and Red Man. Like,
Red Man?
You
said Red Man?
Yeah, Method Man and Red Man. You're gonna have. It's almost gonna be like a quick continuation of How High, with you got Jay and Silent Bob in the back smoking with fucking Method Man and Red Man. How cool is that? I'm totally hyped for that. Because
I remember what you're talking about now. That's at the end of the trailer, right?
Yeah, because I'm a Wu-Tang fan, and I like Method Man, I like Red Man, and I loved How High when I was a teenager, and so just seeing them in this movie, it's gotta be perfect. I would love the Method and Red characters to interact with Jay and Silent Bob. Like, that would be fucking perfect.
You know, shout out to a stoner duo that, you know, Wu-Tang is big, but, like, is a little more obscure, that they're not bumping into, like, Harold and Kumar or some shit.
Yeah.
No, I still... Do you remember Super Groovy cartoon movie?
Yeah, but I never watched it.
Because at the end of it, like, they pull a Back to the Future ending where Doc Brown, like, comes back and he's like, oh, we gotta go to the future, because they hint at a sequel to the Super Groovy cartoon movie. But fucking Doc Brown just completely mistakes them. He comes running out of the fucking DeLorean, the theme song's kicked up, he's like, Harold, Kumar, you have to come with me. And the Harold Harold and Kumar movies are pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoy them.
When I'm to pick a favorite stoner duo, there's something about Jay and Silent Bob that, like, branches them above just a typical, like, Cheech and Chong type situation. Like, they're not just stoners, they're also geeks and merry mischief makers.
Yeah. They're very much more three-dimensional than standard stoner duo characters.
Yeah. They're, at the end of the day, they're the loiterer characters. They're always on the edge of the movie, you know? They're the bookends.
Because the weird thing is they work as leads in their own movies, and they work as the side guys, which is really hard to do with stoner characters.
It's hard, but I'll be completely honest. I prefer them as side characters. I do think they can hold their own movie, but if I had to pick, this might be a little blasphemous. If I had to pick probably a least favorite movie of the Askewniverse, it might be Strike Back.
Damn.
And not that it's a bad movie.
It's just
not a bad movie at all.
Fun road trip.
Jay you can take before you're finally like fucking Silent Bob when they're on the bridge. Just, you dumb fuck!
It's a fun fucking road trip movie to me.
It's exactly what it's meant to be. It's meant to cap off the Askewniverse. It's meant for the Kevin Smith fans.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be the last one, and it was for a long time. And, but now...
You consider true end to the Askewniverse. I guess Clerks 2.
Yeah, Clerks 2 felt like a really good send-off, because it bookends, you know, with the beginning, starting with Clerks, and, you know, and then you end it with Clerks. That was cool, but now we got Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and I'm like, you know what? I am totally down for some more Jay and Silent Bob, because I love these characters. I love the characters that pop up in all the movies. I like, you know, every 5 to 10 years just dropping in on them and seeing what they're doing.
Yeah, and it opens the door for more Askewniverse content, because I guess technically the True North shit is in the Askewniverse then.
Yeah, I mean, if he's gonna, if Jay and Silent Bob appear in Moose Jaws like he originally said, then yeah. You know, it's just, you know, the Canada, it's just, you know, right across the bridge, you know, from New Jersey.
There's just a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, it's happening all over in Canada instead of New Jersey.
So that's pretty interesting. So I guess the only, like, movies that aren't in the Askewniverse are probably, like, Zack and Miri, Cop Out, and Jersey Girl. But I don't even mention Cop Out because...
Yeah, he didn't even write it.
It's a Kevin Smith movie. Jersey Girl, you could say, is a Kevin Smith movie. He wrote it and directed it.
Yeah.
Cop Out was more of just a job.
Yeah. He was just like, well, let me try and be that kind of director where I just direct other people's movies. And I hate it for him. He had a horrible experience.
Yeah, and I would consider Red State part of the Askewniverse, like in my own headcanon. Like, we're only going to be talking about the Jersey Chronicles, but I consider it canon in my head only because of what the idea for the original ending was going to be. And it was going to tie into Dogma. So... Yeah,
and...
it's still part of the universe in some shape or form.
Yeah, and when they do that cop-out of an ending, and he mentions that it was just some stoners up the hill blowing the horn... A lot of people have theorized that could have been Jay and Silent Bob blowing the horn.
Well, that's another question now, because I haven't watched Red State in years. Does it take place in New Jersey?
That I can't remember, but... Yeah, I don't remember it all. But I think Red State is so good till you get to the ending, especially when you find out the real ending he wanted, but he's like, oh, I don't have enough money to do this, and I'm like, oh, but you didn't have to film this cop-out ending. Fucking just cut to black after the seventh fucking trumpet, bro. Shit, and you'd have had your ending.
The Red State is the equivalent of if he went through with shooting Dante at the end. This is all we talk about is the ending, and what people ignore is a pretty fine movie up until then.
Yeah, because he wanted that apocalypse ending. You could still have an apocalypse ending if you cut to black after that seventh trumpet, people would have been like, what the holy shit.
The implied apocalypse.
Exactly, but instead, cut to John Goodman talking to his boss, giving out some exposition. Like, really, that ruined it for me so bad.
Kevin Smith is like a guy who thinks on his toes.
Yeah.
He calls himself lazy, but he really is, like we were going into with the making of Clerks, like how he got around certain ideas. He does think on his toes, but I think that jolt of like, oh, I got to do something now, like, leads him, like, he's more forward rather than, like, thinking in advance, you know?
Yeah.
When it comes to his writing, it's all thinking, you know what I mean? Like, he goes on his diatribes, you know, it's all just his mind. But when it comes to directing, he's very... Like I said, I think his skill as a director has improved over the years, but his approach to directing is still pretty same. He likes to keep it fast, easy, loose. He was telling us about how he directed the Flash episodes that he did for the CW, and he's like, you know, quite frankly, I'm a lazy director. You know, if the shot looks good enough, like, and we get it the first time around, that's fine, you know?
Yeah.
So you could argue it's laziness, but you know what? He is who he is, and he's not going to change. So
yeah.
On that level, it's like you take it or leave it, you know?
Yeah, so let me take a piss and smoke a cig real quick. Ready?
Oh, right.
All right, we are rolling. All right, back from the cigarette. So I guess we're going to wrap this up. Because, yeah, we're pretty much done with...
I guess we'll talk about...
Huh?
What's going on? Yeah, I guess we'll continue with what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, in the future.
So hopefully, I would like to kick off what I would like to call the Graveyard Smash, which is our Halloweeny review. So one concept we've been kicking around is I choose a movie for one podcast, then Travis chooses one. Like, and it's just our own personal favorites, but Travis is also... feigned interest in talking about Rob Zombie in the upcoming future, which I'm down for, since I'm definitely more a fan of his music than his movies, and I've been definitely meaning to check out some more of his recent stuff, like Lords of Salem and 31 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that would be definitely fun to check out as well. So I guess we could leave it up to the comments, or like whatever people would like to see, like... We'll do it.
Yeah, I would like to do a Rob Zombie retrospective, but we can do that later. We could do that after the Askewniverse. Like, that doesn't even have to be a Halloween thing. But, because I'd like to do one where, because we did one years ago, right after Lords of Salem came out. But that was on Speaker Brains, and on Speaker Brains, when we do a retrospective, we'll just talk about all the albums in one podcast. So we did that with his movies too. So in one podcast, we went from Corpses all the way to Salem. And so you don't get a real deep dive into any of it. And he's had, 2 movies since then that I haven't had a chance to really talk about. Well, one isn't even out yet, but... I'd like to do one like the way we do, where we just kind of, go scene by scene and break down shit and all that. But I'm definitely a major fan of Rob Zombie's music, and I'm a big fan of his movies too. Like, I love the shit out of his movies.
What I've seen so far, like, I'm excited for 3 from Hell, because out of the movies that I have seen of his, Devil's Rejects, of course, have you not check out that movie? That's arguably his best.
Yeah.
I enjoy El Super Beasto. The Halloween movies I'm iffy with, but I haven't checked out House of a Thousand Corpses yet. That I'm definitely fascinated in checking out.
You haven't seen Corpses?
No, I haven't.
Whoa! Yeah, dude, like, arguably Rejects is his best, but I still think Corpses is my favorite one.
There's a lot of love for Corpses out there that I've seen, so that's what's gotten me interested in checking it out. It seems to be a more vile movie than Rejects from what I've seen. It seems a lot more disgusting.
Yeah, it's weird, and we'll definitely get into that, because when you see Rejects, you're going to see these characters acting completely different than they are acting in Corpses, and I have a great explanation for why they're acting differently, and but I mean, man, Corpses is so fucking fun to me. Like, love the shit out of it. I can't wait to do that. But you know, from here on out, it's gonna be you pick a movie, I pick a movie, for the Graveyard Smash.
Yes, so tune into that, Basement Dwellers, and until then, stay cool.
Yeah, 'cause it's fucking hot.